A major romantic shift may be coming for Chelsea Lawson and Adam Newman on The Young and the Restless. Recent spoilers suggest Chelsea is seriously reconsidering her cautious approach to their future after a revealing conversation with Nikki Newman. During the January 20th episode, Nikki directly asks Chelsea if she and Adam are planning to take their relationship to the next level. Chelsea admits the idea of marriage has come up before, but says they have not taken it seriously. She explains that life feels stable and happy with Adam and their son Connor, and she is afraid of rocking the boat by pushing for something bigger. The conversation stirs old memories. Chelsea recalls a moment at Society when Adam jokingly fake proposed to her. Although she laughed it off at the time, the moment clearly made her nervous about the emotional weight of a real commitment. Meanwhile, Adam has been struggling with his own insecurities. He fears Chelsea could eventually walk away because of the escalating corporate war between the Newmans and Jabal. That anxiety may be preventing him from proposing, worried he could be rejected or make Chelsea feel pressured. With Valentine's Day approaching, the dynamic may suddenly flip. Spoilers hint that Chelsea could take control of the moment and propose to Adam herself. By doing so, she would reassure him that she is fully committed and remove the pressure from him having to make the first move. The decision also reflects how far the couple has come. Chelsea and Adam have rebuilt a stable home for Connor, and Chelsea appears to be reaching a point where she believes marriage would strengthen their family instead of risking it. Nikki has also pointed out that Chelsea fits naturally into the Newman family because of her loyalty and resilience, which could be the final push Chelsea needs to officially step into the role of Adam's wife. A surprise proposal could soon reshape the future of one of Genoa City's most complicated love stories. The Young and the Restless spoilers, Wednesday, January 21st, ultimatums and unexpected romance. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Wednesday's episode of The Young and the Restless is going to be packed with confrontations, ultimatums, and a romantic development that nobody saw coming. We've got Sally fighting for Billy's future, Kane and Phyllis clashing over strategy, Victor's jealousy rearing its ugly head, and Daniel and Tessa discovering an unexpected connection. And honestly, by the time Wednesday's over, relationships are going to be forever changed. So, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because Wednesday is going to deliver some surprising moments. Alright, let's get into this. The Chancellor power struggle, Sally's last stand. Let's start with what's probably the most emotionally charged storyline of Wednesday's episode. Sally's desperate attempt to save Billy from himself. Sally confronts Kane directly. She's not going through Billy. She's not trying to work through intermediaries. She's going straight to the source and making her position crystal clear. Sally demands that Kane withdraw the offer to Billy. And she's not asking politely. She's telling Kane that he needs to resend this offer because it's going to destroy the man she loves. Sally's argument is compelling. She warns Kane that this gift is actually a trap, and she's specific about what the trap is. This deal is going to lead to Billy's destruction, especially with Victor Newman waiting to pounce. Think about Sally's perspective for a second. She can see the bigger picture that Billy's too blinded by ambition to see. Billy thinks he's getting an incredible opportunity, but Sally understands that Victor's not going to just sit back and let Billy take over Chancellor without consequences. Victor's going to come after Billy with everything he has. He's going to make Billy's life a living hell for aligning with Kane and Phyllis. And Billy's not prepared for that level of warfare. Sally's trying to protect Billy from walking into a situation that's going to crush him. She's trying to make Kane understand that offering Billy this position isn't generosity. It's setting Billy up for failure and devastation. But Kane's not receptive to Sally's plea. In fact, he's frustrated by her interference. Kane believes Billy deserves the company. He thinks he's doing Billy a favor, giving him something he's earned, something that's rightfully his through his connection to Catherine, Chancellor. So, from Kane's perspective, Sally's interfering in something that's none of her business. She's trying to take away an opportunity that Billy wants and deserves. The irony, of course, is that Sally's probably right about Kane's motivations not being as pure as he's claiming. We've speculated about whether Kane's setting Billy up for some kind of betrayal. And Sally's intuition is telling her that something about this doesn't add up, but Kane's either a really good liar or he's convinced himself that his motives are genuinely altruistic. Either way, he's not backing down. Now, here's where things get interesting. Kane later clashes with Phyllis, and Phyllis is furious that Kane gave away a piece of their empire to someone she considers a frequent failure. Think about what that tells us. Phyllis didn't want Billy involved. She didn't think bringing Billy into the Chancellor situation was a good strategic move, but Kane did it anyway, probably without consulting her. So, Phyllis is feeling undermined and concerned that Kane's making decisions that could jeopardize their entire plan. She views Billy as unstable, as someone who's going to cause problems rather than be an asset. And Phyllis calling Billy a frequent failure is brutal, but not entirely unfair. Billy has a history of self-destructing, of making impulsive decisions, of letting his ego override his judgment. So, Phyllis and Kane are now at odds over strategy. Their alliance is showing cracks, and those cracks are going to widen as Billy becomes more involved in their plans. Meanwhile, Billy's trying to convince everyone that he's not being reckless. He attempts to convince both Jack and Sally that his interest in the offer isn't an obsession, but a noble mission to protect Catherine Chancellor's legacy. And here's the thing, Billy probably believes that. He's probably convinced himself that he's doing this for the right reasons, that it's about honoring his mother's memory and protecting her company. But Sally sees through that rationalization. She can see that Billy's agenda is also about proving himself, about getting revenge on Victor, about validating his worth after years of feeling like a failure. Billy, however, chooses to believe that Kane's motives are genuine. He's choosing to trust Kane because believing Kane is sincere allows Billy to take the offer without guilt. It's willful blindness, and it's going to cost Billy everything. The ranch, confrontation. Victor's jealousy ignites. Now, let's shift to the Newman Ranch, because there's a moment happening there that's going to reignite decades of rivalry. Jack visits Nikki to break the news about the Chancellor offer. He wants to tell her personally, probably to soften the blow, to explain the situation before she hears it from someone else. And Nikki expresses deep gratitude to Jack. She's grateful for his loyalty, grateful for him being a friend during difficult times, and she specifically mentions Jack recently saving her life. So, there's real emotional weight to this conversation. Nikki's acknowledging that Jack has been there for her in ways that matter, in ways that have literally kept her alive. And this emotional moment culminates in a warm embrace between these two people who have decades of history together. It's probably innocent, just two old friends comforting each other, expressing gratitude and affection in a platonic way. But Victor walks in mid-hug, and Victor looks visibly irritated. The spoilers specifically use that word irritated, which suggests Victor's not exploding immediately, but he's clearly not happy about what he's seeing. This is setting the stage for the next phase of the Newman-Abbott rivalry. Because Victor's going to interpret this embrace through the lens of his jealousy and his decades-long competition with Jack, Victor's probably going to confront both of them. He's probably going to demand to know what's going on. And even when they explain that it was innocent, that Jack was just being supportive, Victor's not going to accept that explanation. Victor's possessiveness, when it comes to Nikki and his rivalry with Jack, are too deeply ingrained. He's going to see this as Jack making a move, as Jack disrespecting him, as Jack crossing a line. And Jack's probably going to be insulted by Victor's accusation. He's going to defend himself and Nikki. He's going to tell Victor that his jealousy is unreasonable and that Nikki shouldn't have to defend herself for having a friend. This confrontation is going to damage any possibility of Victor and Jack working together against Kane and Phyllis, which is exactly the opposite of what they need to be doing right now. New romance, Daniel and Tessa, an unexpected connection. Now, let's talk about what might be the most surprising development of Wednesday's episode. Because Daniel and Tessa are about to discover they have chemistry nobody anticipated. It starts with conflict. Phyllis has back-to-back run-ins at Crimson Lights. First with Chelsea, and then with her own son, Daniel. We can imagine what these run-ins are about. Phyllis is probably defending her alliance with Kane, justifying her corporate warfare against the Newmans. Chelsea's probably confronting her about it, and Daniel's probably expressing concern about what his mother's doing. Daniel's left reeling from the argument with Phyllis. He's upset, frustrated, probably questioning his mother's choices and feeling helpless to influence her decisions. So, Daniel vents his frustrations to Tessa. And this makes sense. Tessa's a safe person to talk to. She's not directly involved in the corporate drama. She's someone who can listen without judgment. But then something shifts. After Daniel apologizes for his outburst, for dumping his problems on her, the conversation turns personal. Tessa admits her life is complicated. And we know what that complication is. She's in the middle of divorcing Mariah. Her marriage is ending. She's processing that loss while also trying to figure out what her future looks like. So both Daniel and Tessa are in emotionally vulnerable places. Both of them are dealing with complicated family situations. Both of them are feeling unmet. And in that vulnerability, they acknowledge a growing attraction to each other. This is significant because it suggests this attraction isn't new. It's been building probably subtly over time, and now they're finally admitting it to themselves and each other. The question is, what do they do without acknowledgement? Do they ignore it because the timing is wrong? Do they agree to revisit it later, when their lives are less complicated?
No.
They choose not to ignore their chemistry. And Daniel and Tessa share a kiss. This kiss marks a significant shift in their relationship. They've crossed the line from friends to something more. And once you cross that line, you can't go back to how things were before. Now, there are going to be people who have opinions about this. Mariah's going to be hurt when she finds out. Even though she and Tessa are divorcing because seeing her ex move on is always painful, and seeing them move on with someone you know makes it even harder. Tessa's going to have to grapple with whether she's ready for this. Is she rebounding from her marriage? Ending? Or is this a genuine connection that's worth exploring? And Daniel's going to have to deal with the complexity of starting something with Tessa while his mother's causing chaos in everyone's lives. But for now, in this moment, they're choosing to follow their feelings. They're choosing to explore this connection despite the complications. And honestly, sometimes the best relationships start in unexpected ways, in moments of vulnerability, when two people discover they understand each other in ways that matter. Family tensions. Jack's desperate plea. Finally, let's talk about the confrontation between Jack and Billy. Because Jack's making one last attempt to get through to his brother. Jack blasts Billy for even considering Kane's deal. He's not being subtle or diplomatic. He's expressing his anger and disappointment directly. And Jack makes a specific argument that's designed to appeal to Billy's better nature. He points out that accepting this deal directly hurts Nikki. Think about what that means. Nikki's in a position at Chancellor. If Billy takes over, Nikki's out. Her contribution, her authority, her career, all of it becomes irrelevant. And Jack's reminding Billy that Nikki doesn't deserve that. She hasn't done anything to Billy. She's not his enemy. But Billy's decision is going to damage her anyway. Jack's begging his brother to do the noble thing. He's asking Billy to turn Kane down, to walk away from this opportunity, to choose not to be part of something that's going to hurt people and create further family warfare. It's a powerful appeal. Jack's essentially saying, I know you want this. I know it's tempting, but you're better than this. You can choose to be the kind of man who doesn't destroy other people's careers for his own advancement. But we already know from other spoilers that Billy's not going to listen. Billy's going to accept Kane's offer despite Jack's plea, despite Sally's warnings, despite knowing the consequences. Billy's choosing ambition over relationships. He's choosing the opportunity over his brother's respect and his girlfriend's support. And that choice is going to define Billy's character for a long time. Because once you make a decision like this, once you knowingly hurt people who love you for your own gain, it's hard to come back from that. Jack's going to remember that he begged Billy not to do this. Sally's going to remember that she warned him. And when it all falls apart, and it will fall apart, Billy's going to have nobody to blame but himself. The bigger picture, choices and consequences. Let's step back and look at what Wednesday's episode is really about. It's about choices and the consequences that flow from those choices. Sally's choosing to fight for Billy, even when he's not fighting for himself. She's choosing love over self-preservation, choosing to try to save him, even when it's clear he doesn't want to be saved. Kane's choosing to move forward with his plans despite Sally's warnings and Phyllis's objections. He's choosing to believe his own justifications and ignore the signs that he's on a dangerous path. Billy's choosing the Chancellor opportunity over his relationships. He's choosing ambition over love, validation over partnership. Daniel and Tessa are choosing to follow their attraction despite the complications. They're choosing to take a risk on something that might be real, and Jack's choosing to make one last appeal to Billy's better nature, even though he probably knows it's not going to work. Every character is standing at a crossroads, making decisions that are going to shape their futures. So, here's what I want to know from you. Do you think Sally's ultimatum to Kane is going to have any effect? Or is Billy's fate already sealed? What about Kane and Phyllis's clash? Do you think their alliance is starting to fracture? And if it does fracture, who comes out on top? Do you think Victor's going to confront Jack about the embrace with Nikki? And how bad is that confrontation going to be? What about Daniel and Tessa? Do you think they're good for each other, or is this a rebound situation that's going to blow up in their faces? And finally, do you think Jack's appeal to Billy is going to work, or has Billy already made up his mind, regardless of what anyone says? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me your predictions for these storylines and which relationship you're most invested in. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on because the fallout from Wednesday's episode is going to ripple through Genoa City for weeks, and you're going to want to be here to discuss every moment. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next video. And remember, in Genoa City, the choices you make today determine the person